What's up, good people? This is Tanika Nikki, and I'm taking a deeper look into Mr. Larry Rogers and his legal team. Just want to have a better understanding of how his legal team goes about things to see if there's a pattern in the way that they decide to address cases or proceed with cases, especially those that they take on that's outside of their realm or wheelhouse. You know, as I stated in my previous video, those particular attorneys, Larry Rogers and his team, are personal injury kind of lawyers. Those are the lawyers that you call if you've been in a truck accident, uh, you've been hurt on the job, you're looking for a quick settlement, a quick payout. They're not people that you call for assistance if you think your child's been murdered, if you think something super wrong has transpired as far as something that could lead to a murder indictment or FBI getting involved or serious business trials, etc., etc. Now, here the headline states Sandra Bland's family rejects prosecutor's offer to meet about probe into jail death. We all know the outcome of Miss Sandra Bland's case. Now, here you have Sandra Bland's mother, sister, and Larry Rogers. The outcome was a settlement. There was nobody indicted. There was no charges pressed as far as nobody held really accountable for Miss Sandra Bland's death. There is no murderer doing a life sentence. There is no video surveillance of the incident. And the outcome was just basically monetary. The same question I have about his reasoning for taking Kenneka Jenkins' case is kind of the same stance I have in regards to the reason why he took Sandra Bland's case or was a part of the team that was over Sandra Bland's case. Why would he be involved if the goal is to pursue a possible murderer, a possible a case that has the possibility to be anything but an accident? That's why I feel suspect about his motive from the beginning. Because as you see, he's front and center. And I'm guessing his goal was the same with Kenneka Jenkins, the payout. Now, based on what we know of Sandra Bland's case, it's about as peculiar as Kenneka Jenkins' case. And the result is so similar that it's like mirroring one another. I'm going to read. It says, a grand jury decided Monday that no felony crime was committed by the sheriff's office or jailers in the treatment of Sandra Bland, a black Naperville woman who died last summer in a southeast Texas county jail. Now, we all know this is an old article, but it's so similar to the articles that have been done recently about Kenneka Jenkins that it's crazy. It's scary. It's like, did Mr. Larry Johnson purposely seek out this case because of its possible big payday? Did he ever have intentions on getting justice for this particular young lady? The cases are just super eerily, they just eerie in regards to how similar they are. Having an independent committee to evaluate the case that can be a positive thing in a situation like this, said Brian Sir, a law professor at Baylor University, Among evidence presented in the secret grand jury proceedings were the findings of a Texas Rangers investigation. There's nothing in there that shows anything happened, but she killed herself, Mathis had said. Now we know that lady ain't hang herself, kill herself, commit no suicide in that jail. We just know that. The same way we know Kanika Jenkins ain't walk in that damn freezer and fall asleep and just let her own self die of hypothermia. I'm just saying. And now here it states Larry Rogers interviewed about Betty Jones and Sandra Bland. Now in the previous video I showed you guys what was said in regards to the portion containing Sandra Bland's information. But this is what it says about this young lady here, Miss Betty Jones. Yesterday, the funeral of 55-year-old Chicago resident Betty Jones, who was shot and killed by on-duty Chicago police officers, was held. Many questions remain regarding the details of the shooting, and the police department and now its lawyers are refusing to release information and potential video of the incident. Larry Rogers Jr., a partner at the trial law firm of Powers, Rogers and Smith, was hired by the family of Betty Jones to investigate the circumstances of her killing. How eerily similar does the narrative sound? Withholding of evidence. Refuse to give evidence. He's the guy that gets called when shit needs to get covered up. He's the go-to guy for the cover-up. Hey, give old Larry a call, put him on the case. He gonna cover that shit up, like Sandra Bland, like this young lady, Miss Betty Jones, and now Miss Kanika Jenkins. Let me continue to read. Larry Rogers Jr., a partner at the trial law firm of Powers, Rogers and Smith, was hired by the family of Betty Jones to investigate the circumstances of her killing. Mr. Rogers has filed a wrongful death lawsuit. A wrongful death lawsuit. Here we go. Now, if you know anything about Miss Betty Jones's case, you know this was flat out murder. But anyway, let's continue. A wrongful death lawsuit against the Chicago Police Department alleging reckless and wanton conduct on the part of the responding officers for what he believed was irresponsible and senseless taking of an innocent life, i.e. murder. Why not pursue it as murder? That's what it is. Why wasn't Sandra Bland's case looked at as murder? That's what it was. Why did he take Kanika Jenkins' case if it had the possibility of being looked at as murder? Because that's basically what all the evidence is leaning towards. Something happened to that baby. Anyway, let me continue. Okay, the suit was brought on behalf of Miss Jones' 5 children. Preliminary witness reports indicate that Betty Jones answered her door when she was struck and killed by multiple bullets fired by an on-duty Chicago police officer. It has been reported that the firing officer was on the public sidewalk 20 or more feet away when he began shooting. Bullet holes from the officer's gun can be seen on both sides of the door to Betty Jones' apartment. This conduct was reckless, plain and simple. Reckless? Reckless? This was murder. This officer murdered this woman. 55-year-old woman opened her door because somebody knocked on it, and this police officer shot her up in her doorway. Wrongful death? No, murder. Her death was unwarranted. Anyway, let me finish. Police officers knew that innocent people resided in this home, and they began firing multiple shots at them anyways, Rogers said. If that's the case, then why didn't you pursue it for what it was? Mr. Rogers was interviewed on Chicago Tonight with Kara Marin, about the Betty Jones case and explains what is and is not known about her killing at this time. You can view the video by clicking here. Let's click here. I don't want to see the funeral. I just want to see the interview. Let me give it a chance to load. No, we don't want to see the funeral. Below, some additional highlights from our discussion. That might be the video. Okay, let me go back up. It looks like the funeral, but we're going to pray that it segues to the interview.
And now to Carol Marine, and a lawyer in the latest high-profile police shooting case. Carol.
Thank you, Phil. Funeral services were held today. He is one of the attorneys representing her family, and he also represents, we should note, the family of Sandra Bland, a Chicago woman who died in police custody in Texas. Welcome to Chicago Tonight.
Thanks for having me, Carol.
So, would you tell us, Mr. Rogers, what more we can know to understand how exactly Ms. Jones died?
Well, first of all, we've been conducting our own independent investigation. However, the slow trickle of information that we're getting from the Chicago Police Department is hampering and slowing that process. As just a very simple matter, we can't even get the name without filing a lawsuit of the officer who killed Betty Jones. We have been able to get some information. There are witnesses who identified aspects of this shooting and identified the location of the officers being as far away from the door as the parkway and firing into a house that he knew had innocent people living there. His bullets rang through the doorway, and they rang through the wall on each side of the doorway.
Do we know that there was only one officer shooting, or do we not know that?
Reportedly, there's only one officer shooting, but again, the police department in the city of Chicago has not even shared any of the preliminary reports or any of the details of the shooting.
And is that normal?
Yeah, answer
police
that.
practice in these situations?
It should not be normal. It's one of the reasons why the people don't have any trust in the independent nature of investigations of police-involved shootings. With the police-involved shooting, we know who the shooter is. We're not trying to track down the shooter. So there really is no...
You mean someone knows who the shooter is?
Someone
Right.
knows who the shooter is, meaning it's a identifiable police...
Ooh, what is up with this playback?
officer. It's not some person on the street who ran away from the scene. So from our perspective, there's no reason to keep objective evidence like videos or audio transmissions or photographs from the scene. Those are objective pieces of...
Man, this some bullshit.
evidence that should not change, won't change, and those should be produced within a very short amount of time.
The new head of the Independent Police Review Authority, Sharon Fairley, said in a news conference this week that to her knowledge, there is no
Come on.
video. Have you confirmed that to be the case?
I have not. I know that when you go to the scene, you see videotape recording.
Boy, this shit. This nigga like the Bulls.
On
This is
many of the
3P.
neighbors' homes in that area, and we're told that the police department did leave with some
Come on.
recording equipment. But again, we're not getting any information. I requested it both in writing, both through oral communications with Mr. Patton, and having received
The head
none,
of the law department, Steve
right,
Patton.
we had to file suit.
Can you tell us anything if you
Ooh, I'm annoyed.
know about the relationship between Ms. Jones and the family upstairs, Quintonio LaGreer?
Antonio LaGreer was the landlord of the property. Ms. Jones
All right, I'm officially over that playback, but basically, you hear the same narrative in all three cases. The same narrative. The same narrative. This is his pattern. His pattern isn't to get justice for these families or pursue the actual killer or the actual person that should be held accountable. I think he's the dude that gets called to squash shit, to settle shit. You know what I mean? To keep shit hung up in courts and get a paycheck, man. That's Sandra Bland. That's this lady here, Miss Betty. And now it's Kanika Jenkins. I'm going to look a little deeper and see if there are any more high-profile cases that Mr. Larry Rogers appears on that's missing footage, that's missing video, that's missing some kind of something that's needed to actually put the nail in the coffin and really prosecute somebody and get them to do some jail time. I think this is the guy that gets called when they want to make video surveillance disappear and settle a case, when they know some wrongful activities have happened and they needed to go away with a settlement. I think we can call him the cleanup man. Call Larry Rogers. It's a cleanup man. He gonna take it to court a little bit. He gonna make it seem like he's shucking and jiving and doing the right thing, and all the while in it for the paycheck. Paid for. Somebody else is pulling his strings, not the victims, not the victims' families. He don't have their best interests at heart. He has his own interests at heart. Money. This is what I think. Let me keep looking. I'm just going to peep a little while longer. If I don't find nothing, I'm going to just post what I got. Because I want to hear y'all perspective, man. Man, I didn't even think about looking at the lawyer team as possible reasons why stuff hasn't been going smooth as far as getting that baby justice. It's too much evidence. It's too much forensic stuff. I mean, so much went on with Kanika Jenkins' case to somebody should be held accountable by now. The only thing that can stop this from happening is the person responsible for pursuing it in the first place, your legal team. Anyway, pause for the cause while I dig a little deeper. Lord. And here we go. Like I said, another high-profile case with Mr. Larry Rogers Jr. at the driver's seat. Here we go. Larry Rogers Jr. speaks to the press about Philando Castile shooting. Powers, Rogers, and Smith partner Larry Rogers Jr. appeared on Fox 32's Good Day Chicago on July 12th to speak about the recent shooting of 32-year-old Philando Castile at the hands of a police officer. Rogers represents Diamond Reynolds, the girlfriend of Castile, who live streamed the aftermath of the shooting to Facebook. She did speak to police initially because she wants to be cooperative, because she absolutely wants to see justice served, Rogers said about Reynolds. She knows that what happened here was unjustified, and Castile did absolutely nothing wrong. Diamond Reynolds appeared on The View to speak about the shooting of her boyfriend, Philando Castile. Her attorney, Larry Rogers, was in the audience during the taping and was asked about whether they will pursue the investigation with the U.S. Justice Department. First and foremost, we want a thorough and truly independent investigation of what happened here. Here we go with those truly independent investigations. There was a shooting not long before the incident of Jamar Clark in the area, and there's a significant amount of distrust in the investigation that was conducted there, and there's distrust across the country. Same lines that he shoot every time. And this is case number 4, mind you. Case number 4, high profile, big huge case. Call in the cleanup man, Mr. Larry Rogers. Diamond Reynolds appeared on ABC News Good Morning America alongside her attorney Larry Rogers Jr. to speak about the shooting of her boyfriend Philando Castile last week. Castile was shot following a routine traffic stop last week in Falcon Heights, Minnesota. The 32-year-old black man was pulled over for a reportedly broken tail light when he was shot 4 times by police officer Geronimo Haynes. I think that's how you pronounce that. My bad if I got it wrong. And well, let me see. In Reynolds' Facebook live stream following the shooting, she explained that Castile informed the officer that he was armed and that he had a concealed weapons permit. We all remember this case. Where the young lady was sitting in her vehicle and filming everything with her daughter on the back seat, and the gentleman was shot in the arm several times. We remember this. Let me slow it down. Let me go back just in case you guys are trying to read and keep up with the details to see if they ring similar to any of the details from before. I'm gonna read this part just because. Earlier, Yanez's attorney stated that the broken taillight wasn't the only reason Castile was pulled over, but according to Reynolds, no other reason was mentioned during the traffic stop. He never mentioned anything other than a taillight, and which we later discovered there was no broken taillight. And that's the concern we have here, is that they will begin to add facts to the circumstances, which is why her live stream video from Facebook is so important, continued Rogers Jr. And while a gun is still trained inside the vehicle and she is there, she knows that after the events unfold, she won't be believed. She won't be trusted. And she, like many people across America, have to document things because people inherently trust the officers against the citizens. Inherently trust. Okay. Yanez's attorney has yet to release the audio or video he claims will add new information to the case. What's important about that is that Diamond didn't hide the video, Rogers said in the interview with Good Morning America. She immediately displayed it to the public and to the world. So if they have evidence that they think refutes that, produce it right away. Don't hide it. Show it to us. Rogers Jr. is calling for an independent investigation to be conducted by the Justice Department in order to bring the facts of this shooting to light. I want to go and see that interview. Lord, I hope this playback is better than the previous playback.
Hey everyone, I'm Taylor.
I'm Catherine. Hi, I'm
Joined now by Diamond Reynolds and her attorney Larry Rogers. Thank you for coming in this one. We are so sorry for what you've been through. And we know how hard it has been just to see you watch that video one more time. But you and your daughter, Dayan, have also been so strong throughout this. How are you doing now?
We're holding up. I mean, every day is challenging, but with God and all the support of everyone around America, I believe we can get through this.
And I think all of America has been so struck by the kind of composure and strength you showed during that horrifying few minutes with the police officer. Can you explain how you remained so calm and how you decided to shoot that video?
I was able to remain calm because I knew in the back of my mind if anything was to alarm that officer, he possibly could have took me and maybe even my daughter. And what made me record the live video was God telling me, it's your word over theirs. And I just wanted the justice.
And you saw in that piece from Eva now, the officer's attorney is now speaking out as well. He says this was all about the presence and display of a gun, that it wasn't about race, and that he has audio and video that backs up that case. How do you respond to that?
I'm appalled that they would even say that, The officer didn't take proper procedure, so the fact that they're stating that they had probable cause is absolutely incorrect.
So what happened? Did the gun ever come out?
No, absolutely not. He was never even asked, was he armed or anything. We told him. He told him.
So when you say the officer didn't follow proper procedure, try and take us to those moments before you were able to pull out the video and explain what happened, what you saw, what the officer said, what was going on.
She's done that largely in the video. The video depicts the immediate aftermath, but it really describes the entirety of what happened, because she describes the moments leading up to when she pulled out the phone, and it's never denied, it's never refuted by the officer. And she emphatically says you asked him for his license and registration, and that's what he was getting at the time that you shot him.
So the gun, as you said, never came out?
Never. It never came out. It could never be a threat. He didn't ask about it. He didn't know it was on his person. He came to the car. He said it was a traffic stop for a tail light, and that he asked for license and registration. That was it. So that was all.
As you saw, the officer's attorney also says the broken tail light wasn't the only reason the car was stopped. Did he ever make...
Just showing the fact that it seems like he has a pattern of big case chasing, payday chasing. That's what these cases seem to be for him. That's what it seems to be for this legal team. It's not justice, it's money. It's to be in front of a camera. It's to be in the spotlight. It's to be attached to the biggest thing of the moment, And here are the results of the Philando Castile's case in regards to the girlfriend and the daughter is concerned. Settlement. $800,000 in a settlement. The St. Anthony City Council faces threatening litigation, voted Tuesday night to pay Diamond Reynolds and her young daughter a $675,000 settlement in connection with the police shooting of Philando Castile. Reynolds will receive another $125,000 from the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust and the City of Roseville, making the total settlement $800,000. The settlement resolves Reynolds' claims of emotional distress and false arrest, according to a statement on St. Anthony's website. Reynolds, 25, and her daughter, who was 4 at the time, were writing in the... We all know the story. All right, let me see. Get down to it. Reynolds began live streaming. Okay, neither Reynolds nor her daughter were injured. Let me see. Make sure I ain't overlooking nothing. They were detained and questioned. Those issues figured into the settlement, according to the statement. Reynolds released a short statement Tuesday night saying the settlement symbolizes that what happened to my daughter and I on July the 6th, 2016 was wrong. While no amount of money can change what happened, bring Philando back, or erase the pain that my daughter and I continue to suffer, I do hope that closing this chapter will allow us to get our lives back and move forward. Reynolds' attorney, Larry Rogers, did not return phone messages left for him today because the payday was done. His job was done. He didn't want to talk to nobody about nothing. It's on to the next check. Once approved by court, a portion of the settlement will be placed into a trust for Reynolds' daughter and her future education needs, the city statement said. The settlement does not assume guilt by any of the named parties. Instead, the agreement allows the parties to avoid the protracted litigation involved with adjudicating. Lord, me and my pronunciation. Work with me, y'all. State claims and potential federal civil rights claims, which may have taken years to resolve, the statement said. You heard that? That's what Rogers' team does. That's what Larry Rogers Jr. and his team does. It's no justice, it's settlement. They sweet talk those people into taking settlements because they feel like everything else will be tied up in court too long. And it ain't about justice. It's about paychecks. It's about giving me some of this coin, let's get you some coin, and let's move on. That's basically what I think is happening to Miss Teresa Martin. I really do, with all my heart of hearts. Now, you see the track record that I have been pointing out for you guys and how he pops up on the scene for these big coins and big paydays and high-profile cases. Now, with all that being said, do you guys get where I'm coming from when I say I believe her legal team is folded? They done folded on Teresa. They ain't got her best interest at heart no more. It's about this check. It's about this money. It's about being on another high-profile case and having another notch on your belt for Larry Rogers and his team. I think it stopped being about justice for Kenneka Jenkins the moment that first press conference was had. The moment he got his face in front of a camera and was attached to another high-profile case, he already had the narrative in his head as far as what he needed to do to make this the biggest paycheck possible without getting justice. To take this thing to court without taking this thing to trial. The goal was never to find a murderer. The goal was never to pinpoint this blame on a specific person or people. This is how I feel about it. Y'all drop a line. Drop a comment. Let me know how you feeling. Do you feel like justice is being had for this baby? Do you believe Teresa Martin's legal team still has her best interests at heart and they're doing the best they can by this family and Kenneka? Is this what you believe? If so, drop a line. Let's chop it up. If you believe that what I'm pointing out makes sense and you can see the perspective, holler at me too. Drop a line. I know this shit's fucked up. I know that family deserves better. And I wish another legal team had taken over. I wish she'd have dropped them when she started feeling some kind of way. And every mother has the intuition and a gut when it comes to certain things. And we feel a certain kind of way when shit ain't going right. I wish she'd have dropped them when that feeling set in for her, because I know it had to. It had to have set in. This your girl, Tanika Nikki. Peace and love.